Hello, Ouch110. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. Tuesday, getting to the middle of the week, nearly hump day. I can't wait for it to be over this week. And I shouldn't wish your life away. But today I'm reviewing Flower by Kenzo. It's an oldie but goodie. Well, I don't really consider it an oldie as it came out in the year 2000. But it's still 15 years ago, which is older than some people. So yeah, this one I wanted for a really long time. I wanted it since it came out. I just never got around to buying it. But now I have. So here we are. I really like, on research, I really like the concept behind this. I didn't quite realise what it was until I started looking it up a little bit more and just trying to get to know it a little bit better. But what it is, if you don't know already, the box, bottle, everything, packaging is just based around a singular poppy. Now, poppies do not have a fragrance at all. They are that unfortunate flower that is beautiful but doesn't really give off any scent. Nice to look at, but you can't pick them up and sniff them. So what Kenzo tried to do was to create what a poppy might smell like. I think that's a really good idea, to try and create something from nothing and to create a fragrance that doesn't exist based on something that is so readily available to us and that we know. I'm not sure my vision is the same as what theirs is, but that's why perfume is subjective. I'm not sure I would have made this kind of fragrance for that kind of flower, but it's not up to me, is it? I still love it nonetheless. So I'll read you a little bit about what it says. It says, the poppy is scentless. Kenzo has invented its fragrance, the fragrance of a singular and timeless flower, a militant flower in the city. Then there was another little bit as well. It says, a woman meets a poppy. Hi, how are you? That sounds weird. On contact, she turns into a fairy. Together, they enchant the city, put a smile on people's face, make the world more beautiful. Bo has just been silent all evening, and now I've turned my camera on, he's going crazy. Such is the power of this singular, activist, fragile, yet strong flower. I personally see poppies as what they are, fiery red. They're used to make drugs, so it would have been a bit darker for me, and this isn't a dark fragrance at all. But anyway, this fragrance has won 2 awards in the past. It won the Fifi Award in both 2001 and 2003. And the Fifi Awards, if you don't know already, is kind of like the Oscar for perfumes. That would be so cool to win one of them one day. And the bottle itself is kind of like a trophy. I'll show you right now. So mine is 100ml Eau de Parfum version. It comes in Eau de Toilette as well. I don't know the differences. I haven't ever smelled them side by side, so I cannot comment. Apologies. But this is one giant thing. This is the biggest bottle I've ever seen. This is very, 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 very big. Very simple in its packaging. It's got poppies in the, I've just noticed actually, in different stages of bloom. So seedling, or just about to bloom, there, there, and there. And it says Flower by Kenzo, Eau de Parfum, and it's just very, very big. I mean, in terms of my head, which is quite big anyway, look at that. I didn't quite anticipate the size of this bottle. It's the biggest one I've ever seen. So here's the bottle. Look, it's like a weapon. It's just really simple. It's got the full bloom poppy on the bottle. It's kind of curved, and when it stands up it just kind of leans to the side a little bit, kind of like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's really cool. It just literally towers over everything else in my collection. So if you've got shelves that you want to fit this on that are a certain height, maybe put this on the top, I don't know. So what's in it? That's the most important thing, that's the reason why we're here. This has actually got some really interesting notes in it that I've had to look up and research. And it seems the last 3 reviews I've done, all the perfumes I've done have had these scent molecules in. Not on purpose, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. So the top notes are a Bulgarian rose. I think it's probably a lot richer than your just run-of-the-mill walking down the street finding it in the road kind of rose. Wild hawthorn, which to me is a very interesting note. I wish I could smell it on its own, but I don't have access to that as far as I know. I should do. It's a tiny little bush, it's a flower, it's described as a sweet hazy note, but in reality, if you're near a hawthorn bush, you'll really smell it in the air, kind of like lilies or honeysuckle, where they just travel through the air a lot. Then you've got cassie, which is a flower, not to be confused with cassis, which is black currant or blackberries, black currant it is. Cassie is supposed to give a kind of honeyed iris odour to a perfume with hints of cinnamon, and it makes sense because this does kind of smell like iris, and a lot of people wonder, why can I smell iris in this? And then violet, which is a huge note in this, and then the heart notes are a popanax, which is a type of myrrh. It's basically myrrh, but it's a much sweeter version of myrrh. It's called a popanax. It's a very weird word. And then white musk. And then the base notes are where we get to the weird part. So you've got, I think it's called hedione or hedione. It's one of those scent molecules that perfumers use. It's used because it makes a fragrance hang in the air for a long time, or maybe create a sillage, which is very genius, I think, because it's lovely to have a trail of scent behind you. And I can vouch for that as well, because I first smelled this, or become familiar with this fragrance, because my old manager used to wear this when I worked for Disney, and I could always smell her when she walked in front of me, or I could smell where she'd been. So this hedione must be the reason for that. Maybe not. Some perfumes can have a really good sillage on their own, but hedione, yes, that's what I found out about that. And I also read on the Perfume Shrine blog, which is amazing, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, bow down. It's an amazing perfume blog, and the woman that writes it is incredible. I need to give props to her. She wrote on her blog about hedione how it's supposed to bring a ray of sunshine to a fragrance. I guess that's kind of what some aldehydes do. I know it's very technical, I do apologise, but that's what's in it. And then there's another scent molecule or ingredient that I really couldn't find much about. I went through my coursework stuff, I accessed documents that I could I thought I might find it in, and I really couldn't. It's called cyclozal or cyclozal, I don't know. The only thing I could find out about it was that it's supposed to be maybe like iris again, and it says exquisite and smooth floral odour. So the composition is great. I mean, I love it when there's weird things thrown in there, flowers that you wouldn't necessarily smell and things like that. Does it all translate? Maybe not. I think if you just smelled this in a shop, or if you have smelled it on people, you probably have already made up your mind about it, because it did come out 15 years ago. I still can't get over the size of this bottle. It's incredible. The lid's probably the size of a lot of 30ml bottles that I see. The lid is pretty much a big part of the length. So, what does it smell like? Great is the answer. And I don't even have to bend down that far to put that down. I love it. Usually I have to go... yeah, so... what you are hit with straight away is, as much as anyone wants to try and say that I'm wrong, or if anyone disagrees, it smells like baby powder straight away. This, whatever in there that creates this iris tone, gives it a very, very powdery feel straight away. It does smell like baby powder in the air. Up close, it's the only time, if you actually do this when it's wet, is the only time that I could actually say it does have something rich about it, something where this myrrh does come into play, but it's not completely that, but that's the only time that I could probably say, right, I can see that. I can see that there's some sort of kind of thing. There's some sort of deepness to it when you smell it wet. It's a lot. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm not going to lie. I am obsessed with it. I know it doesn't suit me at all, but I don't care. I'm going to wear it anyway. But yes, what it does in the air is create this huge powder bomb. It does smell like baby powder. Violets are powdery anyway. Iris give a very make-up-y kind of powdery smell to a fragrance. And the difference between a lot of fragrances with iris in, and this one is where this one stays modern. A lot of iris perfumes do feel beautifully vintage and kind of classic, kind of like Chloe, love Chloe if you smelled that before. And there's a, what the hell is that company called now? It's slipped my mind because I'm under pressure to talk to you in a very nice way. Acqua di Parma. Acqua di Parma have Iris Nobile. They have a very kind of classic, gorgeous, make-up-y, powdery feel, where this one still feels modern, even though it's 15 years later. So, yes, powder to the extreme, violets, kind of sweet, really smooth vanilla as well. It manages to be smooth and hugely powdery at the same time. Very strong as well. I love how some perfumes can be, on paper, technically what they should be soft. You know, powder, delicate and light, but they can be powdery and whoosh, and I really like that. That's probably why I'm drawn to this. It takes something that should be soft and makes it in your face. So it's a little bit of a contrast in that way. So I really like that. There's another little bit I put here as well. It says, what I read from the Kenzo website, it says a subtle luminous floral, with a vibrant mandarin note, rose and violet blend with powdery vanilla and white musk accord to give a soft and sensual signature, a creation signed by Alberto Morillas. So soft, yes, sensual, kind of, but I think if you smelled it for the first time, it really, the powder just kind of whacks you in the face a little bit. But I like that. I love powdery fragrances. So if you don't, I probably would just say steer clear of this one for a while, or at least test it for a while. So yeah, there's so much going on when it's wet. It's really, really beautiful that way. But yeah, the combination of rose, violet and iris together, I mean, you've got 3 powdery flowers there that are just going to kill it. It's like a triple threat of powder bomb, basically. And I will say that the sillage is amazing. The Eau de Parfum version of this lasts for a really long time. It stays quite linear on me. It doesn't hugely develop into something else. Because the base is made up of these molecules that are still iris, powdery based and stuff like that. So it does kind of calm down in the powdery department, shall we say, when it dries. When I smell it on other people, I get a kind of Play-Doh-y, plasticky feel. Which sounds awful, really, but in reality it's actually quite nice. To me. Play-Doh-y plastic. Get your head around that. Doll heads when I think of things like this. Scented tissues, does that make sense? It's just a bit delicate. If you wafted a scented tissue in someone's face like that, when it dries, it's smooth, powdery, vanilla, iris, violety stuff, but not classic feeling, still modern. And before I start rambling even more, I'm going to end it there because that's basically all I can say. And much more know, click my logo to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in a minute because I'm just about to review Red Moon by Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab, which is the opposite of this fragrance. Mwah! Thank you, goodbye.